Home, sweet home. It's been a month, but the Orange and Blue are back on Rogers Place ice in desperate need of a win. We're going to get you set for the Oilers and the Senators right here on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Tom Gazzola with you inside the EST Satellite Studios in beautiful downtown Edmonton, just outside of Ice District. We got Betty Thomson back at EST Global HQ. And Matty Kassian is our game analyst. If you didn't catch two guys and a goalie, this will be the second last show with Matt Kassian. We'll have him back on Friday, and then he's off to a new adventure. We'll let him talk about a little bit later on in Game Changers. He's standing by, and we'll get to him right away. Of course, you can text us 780-218-9999. Hop into the nasty chat as we get you set for tonight's action. And I will remind folks, tomorrow from 11 to 6, we are live on location. The entire station is at Mr. Mike's, Bonnie Doon, the new location. So 11 o'clock to 6 p.m., every show will be live at Mr. Mike's, Bonnie Doon location. The Oilers 28, 24, and 8. The Senators 29, 22, and 8. It is game number 62 for the Orange and Blue as we welcome in our producer extraordinaire, Ben Bartholomew Thomson. Is that his real name?
Up for you.
You'll never know.
Yeah, no. Archer, middle name. That's pretty proud of that.
I don't believe you.
Well, I can show you my ID later.
It's okay. I don't care.
We got a good game tonight. Oilers, Senators. This should be an interesting one. Oilers made a deal yesterday, and I'm curious to see if there's another one coming. That leads me to my question tonight, if you want to get there.
Yeah, we'll get there because I want to hear what Cass has to say, but yeah, I want you to have your say as well.
Okay. Well, question of the night then is do the Oilers make one more move? And if they do, where should they target? Let us know.
All right. Let us know your thoughts. 780-218-9999. Hop into the nasty chat. Connor Murphy will not play tonight. He got in, I think Christoph Block said around 4 p.m. is when he was expected. And he will make his Oilers debut, or is expected to, on Friday against the Carolina Hurricanes. If anything crazy happens and they're like, oh, no, he's going to play, we will let you know and pass it along your way. I'm with everybody. Go get a third-line center. Yeah. See what you could do. And I'm still all for the small. If all you can do is like little upgrades, then do them. All right? Just try to improve this team as much as you can in any way you can. It's great to swing big if they can, fantastic, but make the right moves, and incremental progress, I think, is better than none. So let's see what happens heading into Friday. All right, let's bring in the big man. He is our game analyst and has been for many, many years. And unfortunately, that comes to a conclusion this week. Cass, hello. It's bittersweet. You made your announcement on two guys and a goalie today. Do you want to just rip the Band-Aid off on the pregame show, or do you want to wait?
Cat's out of the bag, so might as well rip it off. We'll do the full rip off. Full rip off will be on Friday when we get to celebrate. But no, for today, if you missed it, tuning in on two guys and a goalie this afternoon, having to move on or choosing to move on maybe would be a better choice of words. Just some, I'd say Oilers adjacent role outside of my normal day job, but something that has me interacting with the players in a way that it just wouldn't be fair to the players and the team to be in a position where I am then sitting on the live on the airwaves talking about them. So it's a good thing. It's an exciting thing. It's also a sad thing, Tommy, because we've been doing this a long time. And I adore you. We'll talk more about that later, as well as all the nasties out there. I adore you, almost all too. Two of you, no, I adore you all too. So yes, it'll be the last couple of days of doing this, Tom. But I'm excited for that. I'm excited to do it still for even just another couple of days. It's still fun, still going to be fun, and it's just a great time, Tommy.
Yep. I adore you as well. You know that. That was a sad, bittersweet phone call the other day, but I look forward to you revealing what you're going to be doing. Yeah, it's and when you told me what it's going to be, I was like, Oh, that makes perfect sense. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that. All right, Cass, 780-218-9999. Hop into the nasty chat as well. Also, I apologize. I went to the dentist today. I think the freezing's finally wearing off. If you notice, if I'm crooked smile more than usual, I apologize, but it's finally starting to wear off. Okay, Cass, what would you say to the question of the night from Benny? Benny, if people are just tuning in, throw it out there one more time and get it set up for Cass.
Yeah, question of the night is, do the Oilers make another move following their Connor Murphy trade? And if they do make a move, where do they target? Let us know.
Yeah, I think they do. I think the target is that third line center if they can. I just don't know how much they're going to be willing to spend. So I don't think it's going to be another splashy one. I like the Connor Murphy trade. I think that brings in something that you sorely needed. I think they've needed from before the season started on that right side, just shoring it up a little bit. Going to help tremendously on the penalty kill, going to help defensively, gets a little bit of mean. So it was a really good fit, but I still think they try to look for something. So I lean towards they probably get something done, but I also wouldn't be shocked if they don't. So I think they go for that third center. That's kind of what I hope they go for. But if the price is too high, they probably won't pull the trigger.
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
I've seen on Twitter today a little bit, like from some guys that have bases and kind of saying that like they expect a splash, which I just don't see happening. I don't know how you could move out enough money to bring in a guy that is enough to be calling them a big splash. Like you're not getting Darnell Nurse the wave or anything, and you know all that talk is I think kind of ridiculous. So. Yeah, I'm with you. I think a third line center is probably the easiest and most, has the highest probability of happening. They still have Mangiapane's contract to work with if they can get off it, right? So, I'm very curious if they end up getting it done. We'll see.
And just a quick note on Andrew Mangiapane. He did play today in Bakersfield against Colorado Eagles. He just started the game and then went off, basically, had one shift. They want to protect their asset going into the deadline. I believe there's cap implications and call up elements to just getting him into a game. And so if people were like, well, what the hell's going on down there? I'm told no attitude issues, just it's like a formality before the trade deadline, kind of covering all their bases. So that's the update on Mangiapane, and you've been updated on Connor Murphy, and we've gone over the question of the night. Share your thoughts, 780-218-9999. We're going to get into game changers right away, and I will remind folks, we've got Claire Hanna coming up at the bottom of the hour. She covers the Sens, obviously, out in Ottawa, and she's going to provide some great insight into the Olympics as well as the Ottawa Senators. All right, Cass, let's dive into the second last game changers with you on this fine show. I think our first show together, pre and post game, might have been late 2018 when I filled in for Dino. Maybe even earlier than that. Maybe
in 2017.
Yeah, it was that season.
Yeah.
We look good for a couple of old guys. I will say that.
We're aging well. Tom.
There you go, Benny.
Aging well.
That's right. All right, here we go. Game changers, as always, brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon Bunting, a top and consistent producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area for over 18 years. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Please check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. I think of the, oh boy, is it, who sings The Longest Time? Billy Joel. Pressure. That's the theme of today's Game Changers. Yeah. Point number one. Defensive pressure. Yeah,
huge pressure on both defenses for the Ottawa Senators and the Edmonton Oilers. Both giving up a lot of goals. We all see the porousness of the Oilers defense recently, where as a team, they've given up too much. It's been not even close to being acceptable. And yes, you go out and you shore up Connor Murphy. He's not here yet, but that also trade applies a different type of pressure on the defense in terms of who's going to get the minutes. Yeah. You have to assume that Murphy's going to slide in on that right side, probably pair in the second pairing. And, you have Emberson, who's been playing quite well, who probably stays in that third pairing, most likely Statsy that comes out of the lineup. But all of a sudden, we got a little bit of a jockeying position for Darnell Nurse and Jake Wallman here, which is kind of an interesting situation. Not necessarily one we thought we were going to see right away here, or maybe at the start of the season, but one that I don't think is a bad thing. You have the ability then to split some minutes between the guys. You can see who's playing well, who's not playing well, who has jump depending on the matchups and the team you're playing against. It gives you a lot of flexibility. Now that hasn't happened yet because Murphy isn't playing tonight. However, you got to think that some of that pressure is starting. Now it's not like for both Wallman and Nurse, it's not like they're not going anywhere, guys. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah,
they're not getting traded. Either of them. They are here and they're going to be here for a while. However, that doesn't mean that they're going to just get all the minutes, right? They're not just given all the minutes. There's now all of a sudden more competition between the two of them for the minutes because Murphy is going to be playing on that right side. And Emberson has played extremely well, I would say, even the last couple of weeks, given the rest of the quality of the defensive play. He's actually been one of the few bright spots, I think, where he's played really consistent, pops that goal, which is great. But just all kinds of pressure. And the D and for the Ottawa Senators, the weird thing is their D has actually been okay. Their goaltending has been a little bit of the challenge, but it's kind of been like if they give up anything, the puck finds a way to the back of the net where they can't haven't really been able to buy many saves recently, the Ottawa Senators. So both team defenses underneath a little bit of pressure, for different reasons and in different ways. But the most interesting thing for me is to see this game one even before Connor Murphy is in Edmonton and in the lineup. How are the minutes dispersed here between Nurse and Wallman, and how do they play? I think it's a fair thing to evaluate and to look at because that could dictate quite strongly their minutes on Friday when Connor Murphy steps into the lineup.
The Sens goaltending, sus, as the kids would say. Correct, Ben?
Correct. That is, yep. Good use there, Tom.
Thank you. Cass, in regard to the Connor Murphy pickup, I know it's getting a lot of praise, and I think it deserves its flowers because that's a veteran guy, more rugged than what the Oilers generally have on their back end. Is it being overpraised? And I ask this, and I don't want to poo-poo it. Please don't take this as me poo-pooing it. But I had a scout from another team reach out to me today. Yes, they actually reached out to me today about this. And they're like, wow, they just got a Cody Ceci / Brett Kulak / Troy Stetcher replacement in Connor Murphy. And I was like, really rubbing salt in the wound on the Oilers. But, how would you respond to that? And should people temper their expectations a little bit?
Yeah. How would I respond to that? Well, if that's the case, you still got better on defense than you were. I think
that's the main thing. Yeah.
Right. Like that, you can evaluate it against other trades. You can evaluate it against players that were here. The reality is those guys aren't here. Connor Murphy is here, and I think your defense is better with him here. So yes, we can say, they had Kulak and he could have been the guy. Oh, they had CC and he could have been the guy. Oh, they had Stetcher and he could have been the guy. Yeah. I mean, there's debate. Kulak, I'll jump on that one and CC probably. Stetcher is like, well, he's going to be your 7th or 8th guy. He went to Toronto, and yes, he's played minutes in Toronto, but Toronto's not exactly doing well right now as a whole either. But yeah, I think for me, the focus is you're better than you were 2 days ago from a defensive standpoint by adding Murphy. And so, yes, maybe there's elements of his game that you had already and you traded guys away, but you're better today than you were 2 days ago.
We were having this discussion in the office between Hernan and Matt and I. And to me, I look at Connor Murphy as a similar tier defenseman as Brett Kulak. Like very similar. If you were to rank them amongst defensemen, like they are very similar tiered to me. But I believe the fit is better with Connor Murphy here in Edmonton than Kulak. I understand Kulak had a really good, tenure here and looked great in the playoffs, but Kulak was great with his feet and he moved the puck really well, but he wasn't fantastic at breaking up cycles and clearing out guys in front of the net, which I think the Oilers have lacked with their D-men over the past couple of years. And it seems like Connor Murphy is a guy that can do that. So I understand, yes, like you're bringing another like Kulak, CC type defenseman, same tier, but I think Murphy will fit better here in Edmonton in terms of what they need versus what Kulak was able to give.
That's a pretty fair evaluation.
Yeah.
And I think, that's something that I didn't mention is that like he plays meaner.
Yeah.
Right. He plays a little bit more mean than those guys. So in terms of, we'll call it overall quality of the play, it might be similar, but he plays stylistically a little bit different. It's a little bit meaner in front of the net. And that is something that they don't have and haven't really had in a while.
I'm going to read this one from James, who says, the praise is for not effing up. Kind of shocking, given the track record for Bowman with established NHLers. Good progress finding unsigned prospects, though. Is 20 games of Connor Murphy worth the second-round pick?
We'll tell you and if they make the playoffs and where they see in the playoffs and how they do in the playoffs.
That's a fair answer.
So I'll tell you, and if he resigns or not. I mean, but there's a couple...
Yeah.
Yeah,
I understand what James is saying too.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's a high price to pay. Don't get me wrong. It's a high price to pay. But the hope here, I think, if I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, should we have waited to the summer and off season to use this pick to try to bring somebody in? I understand that sentiment, but I think you're looking at your division here and you're saying we need to be good enough to finish first, second, or third. I'm not going to finish first. So finish second or third in the division and try to let that other division beat the snot out of each other and try to catch someone coming out of the Western Conference that we can hopefully take advantage of because they just beat each other to a pulp with the strength of that division. Like, I think that's what you're looking at. And you're saying, hey, we still have an opportunity here to get to the Cup final and to have an impact because of the strength of the other division, but we got to get there first, and we're not going to get there without another guy, and that's where you make the trade. So it's expensive, but
well said.
I understand why you'd make that move.
And to piggyback off that, it's not like the team in first in the Pacific is some wagon. The Vegas Golden Knights haven't beat a playoff team since November 20th. Like that's
alarming.
That is not very good for a team that's leading a division in the NHL. So there's absolutely a way the Oilers can make it to a conference final with this, 100%.
Jersey Egg adds, only if Murphy resigns, and I'm sure Stan Bowman will get it done for too much with an NMC via the anchor emoji, which is what they have over at Puckpedia. All right, keep those texts coming in, 780-218-9999. It is Game Changers with our game analyst, Matt Kassian. Point number 1 was defensive pressure. Point number 2, offensive pressure.
Yeah. Now, this is something that both teams do well. So just like they both have their issues in the defensive zone right now, both teams they're scoring at a pretty good clip. And this Ottawa Senators team, it's kind of interesting. The development and the way that this team has progressed, where you have some very, very good offensive talent. You know, Tim Stützle, a fantastic player, that German riding shotgun with Leon Draisaitl at the Olympics. Tkachuk, don't need to say much about him. We all understand his style of game and his ability to play. But this Ottawa team just seems to find ways to produce offensively. Like, they are actually really threatening around the net. Like, they're aggressive and they attack, and they play quick. And I don't know, on the goaltending side, they may not have enough where they're going to even really have a legitimate chance at making the wild card, but they're in the general-ish conversation because of their offense. Like, this is a group that we don't traditionally think of in the last number of years, really since before my time in Ottawa, like since Alfredson, Spezza, Heatley on a line, have they had like an absolutely, I don't want to say absolutely dominant, maybe that's too strong, but they haven't had like a spectacular offense. Erik Karlsson did Erik Karlsson things, but he was a one-man show in a lot of ways, and on the power play was fantastic. But it wasn't as fully fleshed out in as this Ottawa group is. And some really good young players like a Dylan Cousins who's there, who's having another solid season and is a good player. Like you've got some pieces here in Ottawa that are fun to watch and exciting, and they do ramp up the pressure. Now, we talked about Edmonton's defense. How are they going to deal with said pressure? Ottawa plays aggressive. Edmonton's been playing like it's pond hockey. What type of game is it going to be? I don't really know, but I do know that for the Edmonton Oilers, that defense is going to be tested. You really are. On the flip side, Ottawa's a little fragile defensively right now. They're a little fragile in their own end, where there's not a lot of trust, I think, between the defenders and their goaltending, and so you have the ability to exploit that with offensive pressure of your own.
Benny, you want to add anything to that, or do you want me to move on?
No, that's good. That's
okay.
Covered everything.
Okay, I want to get to this text really quickly from Mark. He's talking about Connor Ingram, and he says, has Connor Ingram lost back-to-back games since joining Edmonton? The answer is yes. I just looked it up real quick, Mark. He lost a start on December 27th to Calgary, and then he didn't dress the next game, but his next start he did lose. So not back-to-back Oilers games, but back-to-back starts. He does have back-to-back L's. The next loss was December 31st against Boston. That was not a good game for him and the rest of the team. So just a quick question there from Mark, and hopefully I had your answer for you. All right, it's Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Point number 1, defensive pressure. Point number 2, offensive pressure. Point number 3, playoff pressure, Cass.
Yeah. Again, both teams feeling this in a very different way. The Edmonton Oilers, feeling that playoff pressure to move up in the standings here, to solidify that playoff spot, and to be dangerous in the playoffs. Like they're feeling pressure to win in the playoffs. Now, this Ottawa team, they're feeling pressure to try to make the playoffs. It's been if we look at their season as a whole, you may describe it as a season of almost wasted opportunity, where the path for them to get there, it existed. It was real. Like this Ottawa team had opportunity to be able to crawl up in the standings, and some of the teams that traditionally maybe have been difficult for them to overcome. There was opportunity that's there. Washington is human. Boston is human. With that being said, you still find yourself 2 points back from Columbus with the same amount of games played, and 5 points back from Boston. So you're a little ways out of it, and that opportunity here is closing. But what's messed up too, guys, is when we look at the points, they have the same amount of points as the Edmonton Oilers. I think they do. Let me just double check.
The Sens?
Oh yeah, they absolutely do.
Yep.
Yeah, in less games played. So the Ottawa Senators being in the 6th place as far as the wild card spot goes, and Edmonton sitting in a playoff spot. It's kind of odd that playoff pressure is different. Now Ottawa probably doesn't have enough games left, enough time left to find a way to get into the playoffs. What's interesting to me is that if you look at the teams that are kind of in that mix, there is I think as a whole, they've been better than Philly, and they've been better than Columbus this season. And in a lot of ways, they've been better than, from a purely play style standpoint, they've been better than Washington too. Like they are right there, but most likely not going to be able to get over the hump because there's just too many teams in between them right now. Now it's possible they go streaking, possible they get on it. Very, very, very possible. If they all of a sudden start getting some unbelievable goaltending and Ullmark starts playing like crazy, mad good, which we have seen him do in the past. Well, now all of a sudden they could get in the mix. But, that pressure is it's a real thing, I think, in Ottawa. You got bought. You have a new owner that is committed to winning, started pumping more money into the team, trying to raise expectations around the organization. And they haven't quite found a way to meet those expectations yet. But the pressure theme today, Tom, for all these things. So for the defensive pressure, offensive pressure, the playoff pressure too, it's a cooker, I think, for both these groups. And again, it looks different for both of them, but they're both teams that are really down the stretch here they're feeling the burn, right? Like they're feeling the press. They're just, it's palpable, I think, in news conferences. If you watch them with Ottawa and with Steve Staios, and if you watch them with Edmonton, it's it's there. It's thick. We can feel it. And, these teams tonight, you have two teams that are dealing with a ton of pressure right now. A big part of this hockey game is going to be who can respond to that better.
Yep. Yeah, and we'll see which one of these teams gets the job done. They close out the season series. They met earlier. I think it was October 21st as I go through the schedule really quickly. It was. Edmonton won that game in overtime, 3-2 in Ottawa. So the Oilers looking for the season sweep. They've owned the Sens. I'll get into those stats a little bit later on, but Edmonton has they've really taken it to the Ottawa Senators in recent years. Cass, I'm going to read a couple texts, and you're going to get a bunch of these throughout the rest of the week, but you deserve them. It's from Sean. This one says, Kassian has a new role with the Oilers. Congrats, Cass. The Nurse Whisperer is an official job title.
Yeah.
Where was the other one? RBM says, I'll miss you, Cass. Your takes are always honest and fair, which I appreciated. Good luck, man. And then there was a bunch of them as well in the nasty chat. So you're going to be seeing a lot of that after you made the announcement today. I like how you call it Oilers adjacent, but it does have you hooked in with the team.
Yeah.
And you'll reveal everything when the time is right.
When the time is right, yeah. So it's not officially working for OEG. Again, still doing my normal big boy job. That's still very, very much a real thing. But it does involve just enough interaction with the individual players in the team that it's just it's for the best. So it is exciting, Tom, and I'm very excited for it. But I'm, as I've said, also very disappointed and sad. But with that being said, doesn't mean I still can't be a part of Nasty Nation and at
the golf tournament,
full AM Nasty and all the stuff. Like it's still get to be a part of it, which is a ton of fun too. So just looking forward to the last little bit of the ride here, and love you guys a ton. Benny, not you as much. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. Love you too.
No, I thought, well played, sir. Well played. Well, you're ours at least exclusively for the rest of the week, and we're going to take full advantage of that. Cass, great stuff on Game Changers. We'll see you on the post-game show.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you then.
There you go. There's Matt Kassian, our game analyst with Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Oh, man, we were talking the other day, and I'm like, we've been doing this for a long time, and Cass has become an excellent resource and broadcaster and analyst. So
8 years, you said?
8 years, man. I think he started a little bit before at 1260. I was still at Oilers TV, but I came in. Dino was doing the pre and post game show and his show, and then Dino. They moved on from Dino. Bell Media. I'll just say that. And then they needed someone to do the show, so I did it.
I was 15.
So was I. I'm just kidding. All right, 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat as well. We're going to get to starting lineups and your injury report in a little bit. In the meantime, we'll get to the game day odds check. Game day odds check, as always, brought to you by Play Alberta. When you play in Alberta, it stays in Alberta. It's safe and secure, and the revenue generated from Play Alberta is redirected into Alberta's General Revenue Fund, which is used to support programs and services that Albertans rely on every day. I just saw Hernan Salas throw up Oilers win by 3+ a nurse point. Book it. I think that is the screw it, let's do it. Is that part of the screw it, let's do it parlay?
I don't know if they fixed it, but apparently they couldn't get a nurse prop, so he had to switch to Boosh.
I saw that.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that's the screw. It's Boosh point, Oilers to win by 3. I can't remember what Zach had, but
I think there was a couple. It was like McDavid 3 shots or something like that.
Okay,
I was looking earlier. There were some good ones that we always have. We populate the EST specials tab every day. We don't just do it on an Oilers game day. We do it every single day. Maybe on a quiet Sunday you won't see something, but I know Glue Guy likes to get in there. But we are your go-to. We are consistent. Damn it, we've got the DGen Den that has a Discord over on our EST Discord that hit on like 2 long shots last week.
Jeez.
We've got a great partnership with Play Alberta, so we appreciate everybody that's hopped on that wagon with us. Okay, here you go. Here is your game day odds check. The money line, last time I did it, I got this updated about an hour ago. Edmonton was at minus 119. Ottawa at plus 101. The over-under set at 6.5. Heavy favorite on the over at minus 159. The under at plus 114. You heard Cass talking about all the goals and the offensive firepower on both sides tonight. The weakness that is the goaltending in Ottawa, the weakness that is mostly the defense for the Oilers, but also has been the goaltending at times, especially when we've seen Jari in net recently. And that leads to lots of goals scored. And with the Oilers, I mean, what are we up to now, Benny? In the last, was it 10 or 11 games, the Oilers have allowed, 46 goals?
So, yeah, I think that's the stat. And what, is it 18 goals in the last 3 games? Is that the...
Yeah. I mean, in their last 2 losses, the Oilers have scored 9 goals.
Yeah.
And allowed 11. They've lost both those last 2 games. Of course, the 8-1 win over LA on Thursday kind of breaks that up a little bit, which was a nice relief, but the Oilers could use a win tonight. I think people would love a good defensive effort, some solid saves, and a nice offensive outburst. 2 or 3 would be good as well.
100%.
Anything you want to follow up with before we get into Claire Hanna?
Yeah, I mean, like, this is just, like, the numbers are going off there. Like, this team hasn't had a problem scoring as of late, which is good.
No,
remember the start of the year where we're talking about this team can't score 3 goals in the game. And so their offense has come along quite a bit in that sense, but their defensive play hasn't. And so I hope Connor Murphy can come in and help with that. I think there's a belief amongst fans that if you slot Wallman into a third pair role and you give him Emberson and then you got Nurse with a steady guy and Murphy, it should help them a lot because that Nurse and Wallman pairing is problematic and a lot of high risks, high rewards, and and the reward hasn't really been there as of late with them. So giving them some steady defensemen I think could help, and overall just lower that amount of goals against for this team. They desperately need to do it. So I think the Murphy addition was a good one.
Well said, sir. All right, I'm going to get to this quick text from Brandon from Windsor. Cass usually still listening or watching, so I'm sorry I didn't get to it earlier, Brandon. Cass, congratulations on the new gig, but I am going to miss you. All right, Timber Woodsman says, I cashed the golf one plus 1,600.
Oh, yeah.
Nicely done. See, I think that was a DGen Den one. Nicely done. It pays, but use your game sense, as always. All right. I had a chance to catch up with Claire Hanna. She's on the Sens broadcast for TSN. You can catch her on the CFL on TSN. Did a great job in Milan at the Olympics, and she's a good friend and joined me a little bit earlier. So here it is, Claire Hanna from TSN to set up tonight's matchup. Very pleased to welcome back Claire Hanna to the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show as we get set for the Oilers and the Senators. Claire, I apologize. I was just at the dentist, so people are looking at me weird going like, what happened to Tom? This is a pre-tape. I was at the dentist. We're doing this thing. You're busy. You've got broadcast stuff to do. And then we're getting this done. Welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm good. You look normal, though, and you sound normal. So I feel like you can get away with it, except for maybe some of your like super dedicated listeners will know.
They'll know. They pick this stuff up very quickly, especially the ones who watch. All right. So, hey, let's start with Milan and Cortina. I mean, Olympics were awesome. I had FOMO. Great action on the women's side. Great action on the men's side. How was it broadcasting from there? Because it looked wicked.
It was amazing. Like dream assignment. Sometimes there's these, assignments that come across your desk and you get the phone call and you don't think they're ever going to come. So when I got the call that they wanted me to cover hockey, I was just, pinch me, right? And then being there is these games are so busy and there's so much condensed action packed into, I'm going to say 3 weeks, because for me, I started covering them the Wednesday before the games even started. That's when the women's tournament starts. And you kind of have to remember to just take a moment, step back and look at them from an outsider perspective so that you don't just finish and then you're like, whoa, I never really appreciated what we were doing, because it's just so jam-packed and busy and not very much sleep and you're barely eating. But I have luckily covered a couple other Olympics, so I was aware of that. And I really made sure to have a couple moments where I just like watched the game and didn't think about what I wanted to report on after, the questions I wanted to ask the athletes, and just thought, just like take in this insane action. So that was just, it was great. And the women are just amazing to deal with. I like, from all the teams, whether it's Czechia, Canada, United States, Germany, they're just really open to media and they want to share their stories. And that's another layer that I'm just really grateful for. So yeah, it was great to see also the PWHL and how that's really impacted the speed of the international game, especially for other countries, whether that's Finland or, as I mentioned, Czechia or Sweden. Like, it's really elevated things. So I'm excited for the Olympics in 4 more years just to see how much more parity we're going to get.
That would be great. And yeah, you're right. Like, the PWHL has helped in that regard, and then getting more professional players, it'll help with development. And we're starting to see a little bit of the fruits of that labor for sure. Favorite thing in Milan and best thing you ate? I know you guys were busy, and talking to some of the people that were over there based in Edmonton, they're like, we really didn't get to spend a lot of time outside the rink, but come on, you got to sneak away a little bit.
Oh, 100%. Okay, Tom. I don't like repeating restaurants because when you're in a foreign country, I try to like switch it up and go to different places.
Good tip.
Yeah. There was one restaurant though. Here's the thing. I broke my rule. I went back 3 times. That's how much I love the pasta. It was called Osteria da Fortunata. We actually went there with like, I'm going to call it a TSN crew on one of the first nights we were there, and I had the carbonara and it was life-changing. I couldn't believe how this tasted. The noodles were homemade, but the sauce was so creamy and the little bacon peats were just like perfectly crispy. And I'm making myself hungry right now. So I went back 2 more times and I got the carbonara 1 more time. The middle time I went, like the second time, I switched it up. I shouldn't have, like, it was still good, but that carbonara will live rent free in my mind. So that was my favorite thing outside of the games. And obviously Aperol Spritz.
You and
You're
my
Italian,
mom,
right? You know this,
and we're from the north, not far from Milan. So yeah, that was like a home game for my family. So I wish I got to go. I was going to ask you this: how about the Sportsnet TSN CBC cross mogination? How did everybody get along? And I'm sure it was pretty good.
Okay, well, I can't speak for the men's side, but for our side, it was great. It was amazing. I loved working with Cassie, Campbell, Pascal, and Haley Salvian, and the crews. A lot of the behind the scenes people involved were CBC as well. And what people see on television is this Avengers type cast mix matched, but they don't see the behind the scenes people who work really hard, whether that's the producers or the directors. And I just loved it. It's so great to meet other people in our industry who are also passionate and like kind of nerdy. So that was great. And oh man, like I feel like there's maybe like stories that you can't tell on a pod that happen behind the scenes that are just so funny. Like Cassie, she gets this microphone from somebody who sold this microphone on the streets. It's this gold microphone that they called it a karaoke microphone, but basically it just is the worst quality of, like, you speak into it.
Didn't you guys use it?
Yes. And
I saw that. Yeah.
Somehow she convinced the people back in Toronto that we were going to use this on live television before the women's gold final. And I was like, let's go for it. And it's so funny, but she brought that microphone everywhere and was like at dinner, she was singing with it. Like, it was a hoot. That's going to be a great memory I have.
I love that. It was great. You guys did a great job. Production was fantastic. And our ladies, what a valiant effort in the gold medal game, almost, but it wasn't meant to be. All right, Claire Hanna joining us here on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. You can text us 780-218-9999. If you're watching live, you can get into the chat as we get set for the Oilers and the Senators. So back to reality. Oilers are in action. Sens are in action. I know it's a busy time of year, but what can you tell us about what happened on Saturday in that win against the Leafs? And how are things with the Sens? Because we're getting close to the end of the season, and they're kind of in the mix here, Claire. Are they buyers? Are they sellers? Do you think they're going to make a push for the playoffs? How are you looking at this whole situation?
Okay, well, given that I think there's going to be a lot of people, like, it's going to be a buyer's market this year, I predict that Steve Stamkos is probably going to go out maybe to just ensure the fans that there's some confidence within the team that they can make the playoffs. It is a tough push because the teams, when I think about Detroit, when I think about Tampa, they've had strong seasons and there's significant points for the Ottawa Senators to make up. But I think statistically, when you look at the Senators this year, they have been really outstanding in so many categories with the exception of goaltending. And that's really put a damper on their season, especially for a lot of these younger players, whether that's Brady Tkachuk, Jake Sanderson, Tim Stützle, Shane Pinto, who thought, okay, like not only are our expectations to make the playoffs this year, but it's to take a step further. And now here we are in March and they're 6 points back of that final wildcard playoff spot. But that's not to say they can't go on a run here. And I think when you looked at that game against Toronto, Linus Ullmark was pretty solid. Maybe people would argue that first goal he let in was a bit of a softie. But Senators won 5-1. It's just like their scoring this year should be enough that they should be solidly like in the top 3 in the Atlantic Division, but their goaltending has just let them down. But I think that that could turn very quickly. And James Reimer gives them some confidence back there. You know, I know his workload has not been very much in the past year, but at the same time, he brings a level of experience in this league that might be just important for the team to rally around. And you know, his numbers have been okay. So I could see Steos going out and trying to buy a couple pieces, and he's got some of the cap space to do it.
Yeah, we keep hearing from the insiders, buyer's market. So lots out there. Let's see what these Canadian teams can do. When you mentioned they score a lot and they've had trouble with goaltending, I was like, boy, are we in Edmonton or are we in Ottawa here? So familiar
That's
territory.
So true.
Yeah, tough
true.
defense here.
Acquired. They get it.
Yeah, it would be funny if Stu Skinner ended up in Ottawa, though, because I think the Pens are willing to flip him. By all accounts. So he, you know, just as well as anybody, he's a great guy. So, and he's had a good start in his time in Pittsburgh. All right. What kind of game should we expect from the Sens and Oilers tonight? Do you think it's high flying? You think we're hitting the over? Do you think that, you know, we're actually going to see these teams play? Yeah. Physical. Well, the Oilers don't play physical. So
I know, but I think that's how the Sens have been playing recently. And I think that that's been, I don't know, maybe their way of getting under other teams' skin, whether that's Nick Cousins doing some of that, Dylan Cousins. I bring him up because in that game against Detroit on Thursday, Brady Tkachuk takes this big hit. And normally Brady's the guy who drops the gloves. And he's, you know, he's definitely toned that down because he knows he's no use in the penalty box, but it's also like in his DNA to fight. But Dylan Cousins stepped in, dropped the gloves, and it was just, it totally fired up the team, right? So anyways, but I expect a physical game tonight initiated by the Ottawa Senators. I expect that the Oilers are going to want to test, and I really should know this. I assume it's Linus Ullmark starting the net tonight.
Yep, confirm. Yeah. We got confirmation.
Perfect, thank you. I think they're going to probably try to get a lot of pucks on him to test him, because I think the league is aware that there can be some up and down performances on his part. So like high shot volume. But then also I think the Oilers are going to have to be crafty with how they generate those chances, because the Senators defense has been pretty like locked in, you know, outside of goaltending. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to be watching for. And I mean, I always love watching a player like McDavid in action, right? He's just so exciting. So yeah, are they going to like double team him? We'll see, right?
Have to, yeah. Well, I mean, the Oilers give up a ton of goals. So, and when you press them and you're physical, it generally leads to scoring opportunities. So this could be high scoring. I like that. I'm excited about this game tonight. One other one for you about the Sens. How's the new arena situation going? Because I know everyone's getting excited down in Calgary. Their rink will be ready. And I know Gary Bettman was there today, and they're talking about potential World Cup 2028 hosting down there. And I mean, that lines up perfectly. But LeBreton Flats, I think it's called. Like, what's going on with the Sens? I know they want to get a new building going.
Tom, you are dialed in. You nailed it.
I'm a stadium nerd. I admit. You want to talk about being a geek? Hello.
Yeah. Okay. Well, are you getting down to Calgary soon to check out that one? Because that's going to be very exciting.
I should. Right? I'd like to. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I also am going off of what Gary Bettman was saying to reporters in Calgary today, but this is him talking about Michael Andlauer and where they're at. But I just don't think we're close to seeing a stadium right now. I mean, the paperwork's in place and they're saying the right things, but they need the financing for it. The last I also heard is that he had engaged, Michael Andlauer, the owner of the Ottawa Senators, had engaged in some lobbyists. And it was my understanding that it was to try to possibly secure municipal, provincial, and federal funding for this, because that's always something that happens when there's new arenas built in Canada. It's not just the owner that foots the bill. But it's not like there's no shovels in the ground in LeBreton Flats. It's a really awesome location. I think it's super comparable to Edmonton, and where, Rexall was closer to where the Canada Arena is right now.
Yeah.
But putting it closer to the downtown core where Rogers is, it would sort of be like, okay, don't get on me for this, but what's that baseball diamond in Edmonton in that park?
It's now Remax Field. Yeah.
Okay. What's that neighborhood called though?
Rossdale.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I loved Rossdale. I thought it was such a cool neighborhood that's basically right downtown. LeBreton to me is almost the same equivalent in Ottawa to Rossdale. So
that's perfect.
Exactly. That's where the arena would be. It's like you're not putting it like smack dab right downtown, but you're putting it just outside, but in some cool neighborhoods. So it'd be great. And I mean, I would love for us to witness that, but I keep thinking like it's like a decade away, right? And some people are like, 5 years away, but 5 years feels like a long time too.
Yeah, that took forever here. I remember all of that process. It was a pain in the ass and the politicking that happened. So it sounds like that's what's happening in Ottawa.
Tom, don't remind me. I literally moved away from Edmonton the year it opened.
I remember you sitting up top.
Sad.
I remember you and Quinn Phillips having charcuterie in the catwalk at Rexall Place.
Yes, I did that because you know what? I always bring my own snacks to games. Stadium food is so expensive and unhealthy. So yes, I still sort of do that, Tom.
That's good. I love that and admire. Never stop doing that, Clara. Hey, thank you for the time. Really appreciate it. And we'll catch up with you soon. Keep up the great work as always.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome stuff there from Claire Hanna. I apologize. My lip was frozen from the dentist earlier. I tried not to laugh or even smile. And it literally, the freezing went away right before the start of this show. But great stuff there from Claire. She does the Sens broadcast for TSN. And then you can catch her on the CFL on TSN, as well as Dusty Nielsen and myself. Looking forward to the upcoming season. We're already starting to get some information about this upcoming season, which is great. And Dusty and Claire, I believe they'll be working together this Thursday during the Flames and Sens broadcast. And Dusty will be doing the Sens regional game. So you're going to have to find different ways of getting the Sens broadcast. Usually it gets blacked out on our cable boxes here, but very excited for him. It's going to be his first NHL game.
Noodles doing color?
That's right. That's right. So it's going to be, I'm looking forward to watching that one on Thursday night. A huge thank you to Claire Hanna. She's great and really appreciate her time, and got to chat a little bit of Olympics, which is fantastic, as well as this Sens team. A couple of texts. Uncle Jesse says, had to pop into YouTube, see what all the dentist talk was about. Looking all right, TG. Left a like on my way out. Thanks, Uncle Jesse. Appreciate that. Adam from Lloyd says, hey, boys, Oilers should be quite motivated tonight. You would think that being as they've slipped to wild card 2. Not sure if you guys caught Bob with Rashad. No, didn't catch them. Those are much must-watch stuff. Yeah, no, I'm good without them. I get that every day at the rink. Yeah, I'm not going to read the rest of that. Let's go to Bootski. Says Clara Hanna giving me dinner television flashbacks. Yeah, she worked with Struddy on that. And then Conroe, Texas says, maybe Connor Murphy can help nurse like a former Blackhawk helped Bouchard figure out his game. Perhaps that would be ideal, wouldn't it be, Benny?
Well, sorry, say that one more time.
Never mind. We're just going to move on.
Oh, okay.
That's all good. All right, let's get to your starting lineups for the Oilers. Here's what we got. McDavid between Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. Draisaitl between Savoy and Roslovic. Szymanski centering Podkolzin and Frederick. Lazar between Henrique and Kapanen. Interesting. On defense, Wallman paired up with Bouchard. Nurse with Emerson. Ekholm with Stasny. So a shakeup on the back end. little bit of a different look at fourth line with Henrique sliding over to the wing, Lazar down the middle, Szymanski between Podkolzin and Frederick. What do you think of that, Benny?
Forward line wise.
Yes.
I like it. That's kind of how I would do it. Personally, I think Kapanen and Podkolzin have chemistry, but you want to give Frederick a little bit more of a leash with how he's played since the break. So I don't mind the lines, the D pairs.
Yeah, interesting.
I wonder what this means for when Murphy comes in. Are they going to go Ekholm Murphy and try to go a shutdown pair and then split up Wallman and Nurse? And
well, Benny, let's see how Wallman and Bouchard handle their defensive zone together.
Exactly. That's my thing. It's like, you're going to let that pair go? I don't know. I think it was pretty obvious you go Ekholm Bouch. Maybe they're thinking of this as a one game scenario. Obviously, this Nurse Wallman pairing is not working. Let's switch it up for tonight, and then when Murphy comes in on Friday, we go back to the lines I think that they'd want. But yeah, I'm very curious to see how that Wallman Bouchard pairing holds up tonight. And I don't know. I guess we'll see.
We shall see. All right, let's get to the Senators lineup. Here's what's projected. This comes directly from the Ottawa Senators. Tim Stützle between Drake Batherson and Claude Giroux. Dylan Cousins centering Brady Tkachuk and Ridley Gregg. Shane Pinto between Nick Cousins and Michael Amadio. Lars Eller between Stephen Halliday and Fabian Zetterlund. On defense for the Sens, Jake Sanderson paired up with Artem Zub. Thomas Chabot with Nick Jensen. Tyler Clevin with Jordan Spence. That takes us to your starting netminders for this one. 28-year-old Connor Ingram getting the nod for the Oil. 7-6-1 is his record. 275 GAA. 894 save percentage. One shutout in 16 games this year. Ingram versus Ottawa. 0-1-0. 1224 goals against average. 500 save percentage in his 2 appearances versus Ottawa over the course of his career. Really anticipate his numbers going up lifetime versus the Sens, maybe even getting a win. And that's a couple of rough outings in 2 games versus Ottawa for Ingram. At the other end of the rink, it will be 32-year-old Linus Ullmark, 17-8-6 this year, 280 goals against average, 885 save percentage, 1 shutout in 32 games this year. He has a 3-3-2 record against Edmonton lifetime with a 323 goals against average, 887 save percentage in 10 games versus the Oil. That takes us to the Sather Reed Sport Medicine Injury Report. Sather Reed is the new name at Advantage Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy. So the Sather name continues on, and we'll have the new logos and everything set up for next game. So the first ever Sather Reed Sport Medicine Injury Report. As it goes, Connor McDavid's got a team of specialists. You've got a bag of frozen peas. Get the same locker room approach trusted by the best in the game at Sather Reed Sport Medicine. Book your assessment today at www.satherreedsportmed.ca or call 780-460-9977. The newly renamed, rebranded Sather Reed Sport Medicine. Check them out. They're going to be great. They've always been great. Now they fly under the Sather Reed banner instead of Advantage Sport Medicine. For the Oilers, Matthias Janmark, LTIR, done for the year, shoulder. Expect him to get surgery, and that'll be good. He's had a bum shoulder. And then Ottawa, David Perron, IR groin, Nicholas Montepallo, day-to-day, undisclosed. That is your Sather Reed Sport Medicine Injury Report. www.satherreedsportmed.ca or call 780-460-9977. So great to have them on board as always, and now flying under a new banner. All right, Benny Thomson, anything else that you want to hit on before we say goodbye?
Just quickly, this is a very important game for this team. But I think it could be beneficial for them to be playing playoff-like hockey heading into the playoffs. I remember the 2022 or 2023 Cup final where Florida made it all the way to the final there. Like they often talk about how playing playoff hockey for the last month and a bit helped them be ready for the playoffs. And I'm not saying that it's going to be the same as Florida, but if the hockey means more at this time of year, I think it could benefit the Oilers in this case. So you can't screw around tonight, man. Ottawa, same points as you, and they're in a much different situation. So, I take every game with very seriously for the rest of the or till the end of the year, because every point matters right now, trying to make the playoffs. So let's see if they do it tonight.
All right, nicely done, Benny. McLovin says he's watching from the Senate Tavern in Ottawa. Let's go, Oilers. Thanks, McLovin. Appreciate that. Good to have viewers and listeners all over North America, not just in oil country. We appreciate it so very much. And Jersey Egg says, Tommy, what is your 5 seconds take on the Cardinals and the news that Kyler Murray will be released? You know what? I'm looking to the future and a future without Kyler Murray. He was very frustrating, Jersey Egg, and I could tell, especially in the last couple of years, that the franchise was not going to be successful with him. So not sure if Jacoby Brissett's it, but we'll see what happens in the post-Kyler Murray era. My Cardinals have a lot of work to do, and hopefully they can figure it out. Hey, Benny, they did an NFL report card, and the Cardinals got F- for ownership, and I think it was F for team facilities, or it was vice versa. There was an F- in there, so no bueno, as they like to say. Anyway, the focus is on the Oilers tonight. Let's see if they can get a big win against the Ottawa Senators. Connor Murphy not in the lineup. He'll play on Friday. Ingram versus Allmark. New D pairings, a little bit of a shuffle in the bottom six. Josh Szymanski back in action. Curtis Lazar centering the fourth line. Henrique on the left side. Maybe that is the key to buckling it down defensively. We shall see. A huge thank you to Claire Hanna from TSN Ottawa for stopping by. We appreciate her doing so. Big thank you to everybody who watched and listened on iHeart, TuneIn, and of course, EdmontonSportsTalk.com's audio player, and all of you over on YouTube. Thank you so much. For Cass and Benny, I'm Tommy saying enjoy the game. We'll see you on the post-game show. Bye-bye.